What's the most paranormal thing that has ever happened to you? First night in my first apartment. Didn't have a bed, so I slept on the couch in the living room. Had a nightmare that someone with a knife was going down the hallway. Just as they got to the living room door, I woke up. I jumped in my car, spent one more night at my parents'. 2 months later, my roommate falls asleep on the same couch. Next morning he tells me about a dream he had about a guy coming down the hall with a knife. Just as he got to the door, my roommate woke up. Few months later, a friend asks if he can crash for a night. Sure, he can sleep on the couch. Next morning he says he had a weird dream. I said, guy coming down the hall with a knife? My roommate added, you woke up just as he got to the door. Dude went palest shade of white I ever seen. Couch was the only witness to a murder. The guy got away with it. To this day the couch has been trying to get justice for the victim the only way it knows how. I would pay to see a movie about this. A lady's voice coming from my closet. The door was slightly opened and I heard the voice say, help me. I see you through the crack. I was scared shitless, but I also was curious and wanting to help, so I opened the door and no one was there. I'll never forget this, it still gives me goosebumps talking about it. You opened it? Bro. I work nights at a hotel. I was setting up coffee one morning a few years back, and I see someone very tall in the kitchen. We make eye contact. Dude's wearing an olive green jacket and a pair of jeans. After a second, he lifts his legs at the knees and floats out the door. Now, if I were just seeing things, I'd have panicked. I've hallucinated from exhaustion, and the shit I see scares me. This was there. This was real. It must be a guest or something in an employee area. This has happened a couple times. I take off running to catch this guy and tell him he is not permitted back there. No one is there, because of course not. The back is empty. I am alone. I was still convinced for several minutes that this guy was just hiding from me and he'd have to come out and I'd be able to talk to him. Almost a full 5 minutes elapsed before I realized I was literally chasing a ghost. Edit, I mention in a separate comment how cooks in the back have seen the knobs on the gas stove turn themselves off. Literally just now, about 5 AM on August 7, 2019, one of the cooks rushed out to tell me he was placing a pot of water on the stove and it turned itself on. I was in a classroom alone late at night and a guitar in the corner seemingly plucked a string on its own. I left immediately. I went back the next night, it was finals week, and as I was leaving, I heard 4 loud steps coming down the stairs I was just on. I waited for a minute to see if anyone would come. Nobody did. I did not return at night for a while. Not trying to discredit your story, just offering a possible explanation if you want it. Guitar strings sometimes shift with changing temperatures, which could sound exactly like it being plucked. So it could have just been the string shrinking as the air got colder around the ghost. At my sister's old apartment you could see into the kitchen from the living room. The kitchen cabinets would open and close and her dog would immediately start to bark. One night we were watching a movie and we heard something stumble and hit the ground in her kitchen and the dog didn't even seem to care. I'm pretty sure we heard a ghost trip and eat shit on her kitchen floor. You should have rushed over and be like, dude, you okay? Dog just sitting there, knowing it's the restarted drunk college ghost and nothing threatening. When my son was about 3.5 years old, we were driving home at night with him and his 7-year-old brother in the back seat. As we approached an area of the road across from my older son's former babysitter's house, my younger son clearly blurted out the name Ashley. Ashley was the name of the babysitter and she had died the year before in a car accident. My younger son had never met her and neither son knew that she lived nearby because she always drove to our home to babysit. When I asked my younger son what he said, he repeated the name Ashley, and when I asked him why, he said that he said Raven told him to. Raven was his favorite stuffed animal. My wife and I were stunned and cannot explain what happened. My youngest has done similar. At around 3 years old, driving by an old people's home, No way he knew what it was. He asked, "Is that heaven?" When asked why, he thought that he just said because a lot of people have died there. Kids living on Coruscant say the same about the Jedi Temple. I've had many experiences since I was a kid. The one that freaked me out the most though actually happened a few months ago. I'm only 16, I don't like sleeping in my room, so I sleep on the couch in the living room, my choice, and it's actually really comfy. I also suffer from insomnia and have trouble staying asleep. This being said, I'm normally awake when my dad gets up for work at 4 in the morning and will wish him a good day at work and such. I was trying to sleep but I woke up. Having gone through this many times, I just kept my eyes shut. Then I felt something that felt like a leg lean against the side of the couch and hover over me, and then I heard heavy and low breathing. It was so loud and sounded like a man, so I naturally assumed it was my dad. Since I thought he was trying to check if Jay was awake, I whipped around to try and to scare him, but nothing was there. I was so confused that I kind of just sat there for a few moments thinking about what just happened. This sounds like an early stage of sleep paralysis, but I'm in no way a certified doctor, so take it with a grain of salt. Long story short, multiple people who are not friends with one another have been in my house and seen a woman in a blue dress and then told me about it later. I don't tell anyone else about it, not even my husband, because it doesn't bother anything. No big deal, right? Anywho, I myself have seen her twice. The first time I woke up in the middle of the night and saw her leaning over the baby's crib. I immediately sat up and she just faded away. I felt crazy because I didn't know anyone else had seen her at the time. The next day I went to Walmart and some lady walks by me and says, "She likes the baby." I stop and ask what she said and she says, "The woman in your house. She likes the baby." Low-key peed my pants and ran home. The woman in your house. She likes the baby. Mate, that's when you drop everything and interrogate the lady on how she knows about your baby, the lady or your house. No, that's when you run. My town has a heroin problem and this bitch was clearly crazy. I was out. I have been saved from death 8 times by a spirit guy wearing a bowler hat. Each time has been different, but I am not the only one who has seen him. He has woken up my father and told him to check the garage. My father found me seizing and choking. I fell asleep while driving. He turned the car sharply before we went off into a river. He also shook me awake before my 2 friends in the back seat both asked who I had picked up. Those are the 2 times others have seen him. In some religions and beliefs, it's a spirit guide or guardian for you. It could be an ancestor or other spirit. Freaky if true. I do wonder if he is a relative, because he showed up for the first time was during Memorial Day weekend, in 2002. I was staying at a campground in St. Avold, France, and we were putting flags on the graves. I am a little fuzzy on the details, but he didn't save me that time. He just kind of appeared by a tree and tipped his hat. M'lady. My house used to be the largest on the lot before our town expanded. It was the largest because it was a funeral home. They sealed off the room with plaster walls where they would prepare the bodies though. Underneath the carpet in my parents' room is a hatch too. I've seen plenty of things, heard plenty of things, and friends or family have said things I have seen. We have a spirit, ghost, whichever you wanna call it, that lives here named Abigail. She's a trickster. She likes to hide things, move things, open doors sometimes, or tease our dogs. Whenever my aunt comes to visit with her family, small items tend to go missing. Items like her toothbrush that she set by the sink 2 minutes ago. The things here, and there are a few, aren't as active anymore. Or maybe I don't see them or notice them much. How do you know her name is Abigail? What does she do to tease your dogs? And what are things some of the others have done? Abigail sounds pretty chill overall, from what you've said. I wonder if she's just bored out of her mind, not being able to talk to people and do more things that living people can do. So my grandparents used to own the house before my family, and when they were in the attic one day they found letters and old stuff with the name Abigail. So it just kind of stuck. It might be something else and we don't know. but several people have described seeing the same girl in the house on multiple occasions. Teasing the dogs. They'll make noises on the other side of the house, stomp or sound like they set something down. Or the dogs will just stare at a corner for a long time like something might be there. The other entities in the house normally make noise. Or you can kind of see them walk into a room out of the corner of your eye. Or you just don't feel alone.